What's going on, Koi Fish? Welcome back to the pond. I'm, as always, joined by our Cowboys-loving Ginger Freak, Hey Dog, repping his team, old Tony Romo,
a.k.a. the Romo-ster.
You know, our favorite man in the booth, sipping on Coronas, drunk out of his mind. I'm your host, Colin. Welcome back. 43rd episode. I almost forgot to do that. I think I forgot on the last couple episodes.
No worries.
And it's officially the eve. Well, I guess when this comes out, it'll be the day. It's finally the day of.
The day of.
The
and
day
that's
of.
Perfect, right?
We've done it. We've made it through the entire offseason in one piece with only maybe 100 headlines that never came true.
Yes.
As Fugazi's season comes to a close.
And thank God, because nobody can be wrong in the offseason, right?
No.
Everybody's right. Everybody's got, even the stupid stuff has a chance. So
exactly.
Now we finally get into the real thing, and off we go, right?
It's beautiful. Trent Williams signed back with the 49ers, as we all kind of expected he would. Ayuk was in pads, obviously signed. There's no question there. CeeDee Lamb signed since the last time we've done this. Patrick Surtain. Surtain signed back with the Broncos, which I wouldn't have necessarily guessed or not guessed. I kind of forgot he was still unsigned, to be honest. So good for him. He got a bag.
Yeah, exactly. And going to be a cornerstone of Denver's defense. So if Sean Payton's going to really start to turn it around, which I believe he will this year, he's got to be a key part of that. For sure. And I think that we're just basically going to talk week one. Probably a heavier on the Thursday night stuff as we've been in the past, since that's the day this podcast comes out on. But we're going to kind of glance through all of them, kind of let you know our thoughts and opinions, and how I might pull up some spreads. We might get a bit frisky with the old pocket change. Ooh. But, we're back. Let's kick off with the hottest story off the wire.
This just came out
about 2 hours ago, less than 2 hours ago. Commanders suspend VP for comments on players Jones and Goodell. So this is from ESPN.com. Washington Commanders have suspended an employee who made comments about the team's players being anti-gay, accused Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones of being racist and anti-gay, and called NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell a quote-unquote $50 million project. So, way to get it started, Commanders.
Yeah, you couldn't fumble the bag, and then you did. I mean, it's bad enough the poop stadium from the dirty brown water from, a couple seasons ago, and it's been kind of a dumpster fire ever since. With their owner was the one that escaped to Italy, I think, when they were trying to catch him for embezzling money.
Yeah, Schneider.
Old Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
And, ever since then, it was on the up and up a little bit with the new group
Quinn,
owners.
Magic Johnson being involved there.
Front office and
Jay
on the
Daniels.
field. And then they went and did this. Ooh. So, come and go. You go ahead and scrap their season for 4-12 probably. And, Matt, if they get above 6 wins, I'll be impressed.
and nothing like have that happen pretty much on the first day of the official season.
Yeah, that's a bad sign. So if that's a sign for anything to come for them, it's not looking great. But still, that's a lot of crazy comments to make in one ESPN story.
It is. It really is. And for anybody that was making this outrageous projection, the prediction that I saw of the Commanders finishing second ahead of the Cowboys in the East, maybe this, levels that back out a little bit.
This might bring it back down to earth. Seeing that in the headlines, never a great thing when you're the biggest news about your football teams, what the VP was saying, and none of it was very tasteful.
Not tasteful at all.
That is not food for thought. That is garbage for a fire.
And with that said, welcome to week one.
And we're so fucking back. Week one. We are back.
Off we go.
Jump right into the Ravens-Chiefs game. Like I said, I'll probably talk about this one more. The 1 o'clock games, as always, are important. One thing I found for my own Excel sheet that I kind of track the spreads, and who covers, who doesn't, week one of every year. I think in the last 2 years, the favorite has only covered the favorite's gone 6-11 is what I found.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it, out of all of the 1 o'clock games only. Not including 4 o'clock, but 1 o'clock. It sounds like more often than not, the underdog ends up covering. I don't know about winning outright, but, just food for thought. Nevertheless, a rematch of the AFC Championship a year ago. Not even a year ago.
Not even a year.
6 months ago? 7 months ago? Something like that.
Where the Ravens ran for a total of 6 yards.
It was domination. I mean, to this day, who knows why they didn't run the ball more. Like you've talked about in the past, Harbaugh probably got in his own head and out-game planned himself for the most part. Nevertheless, if the Ravens, now with Derrick Henry, want to win this game, I sincerely believe the biggest thing they've got to do is run the damn ball. End of the day.
Yeah. And there's no way that they're not going to.
That's exactly what my thought is.
Yep. I know Kansas City's home.
Kansas City's home.
I know they're 3-point favorites.
They are 3-point favorites.
But, wow, those revenge games, and with a weapon like Derrick Henry, it's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Yes, and it's crazy to think about also. One of the stats I saw, give or take a couple numbers, all right, don't quote me on it. I believe in that AFC Championship game, Zay Flowers was covered by Ladarius Sneed 21 out of the 37 snaps that they played on together. And out of those, I don't believe Sneed only let up one catch for 54 yards to Zay Flowers, which if I'm remembering right, was pretty early in the game. I think it was the Ravens' second drive of that game. They had that play action pass that Zay Flowers got a touchdown on. If not, it was 54 yards. It was a big play, but that's the only one Sneed let up. And now Sneed is no longer there.
You ever seen Rocky IV with Ivan Drago, the whole Russian thing? And, Rocky's buddy Apollo Creed gets killed basically by Ivan Drago.
Yes.
Rocky decides he's going to box him, goes through this whole training thing, tapes a picture to the mirror so he sees it all the time of Ivan Drago. Mm-hmm. I guarantee Zay Flowers has got a picture of him fumbling.
Yes.
Going across that end zone.
Yes.
And Zay Flowers, is the other guy, along with Derrick Henry, who is going to really, I don't know, I think he's going to have a killer game, personally.
I agree. Now, given the Chiefs still have absolute weapons on their defense, no doubt. But if the one guy that pretty much not locked down, because I guess having a catch for 54 yards is pretty good.
Yeah.
But, someone that was playing well, maybe opposite of him in that AFC Championship that no longer is there, you'd have to imagine that means Zay Flowers gets open a lot more on those play-action plays.
And with what I would say is more weapons, as long as, if the Ravens can protect, and they're talking about rotating offensive linemen, which I'm not quite sure what the deal is with that.
I don't love that.
So that lends itself to Lamar Jackson kind of running around.
Well, and the Chiefs pressured him last time.
Yeah.
They know how to get to him.
And pressure is the thing he cannot handle. So
no. And so you got a couple things going here. Personally, from a gambling standpoint, I'll flash my two bets I have on this game that I like a lot. I like Zay Flowers. I like his yards. I think it was at like 54.5 when I took it yesterday. Looking at Isaiah Pacheco, I like him a lot to get the ball. Early on in the season, I have to imagine out of the gate they're going to start with a lot of running plays for both teams. I like him to get a touchdown in this game.
Okay.
I think one other aspect to the Ravens that they've lost is Patrick Queen.
Yeah, the linebacker.
He's no longer there,
yeah.
And he went to the Steelers. Given they still have, was Roquan Smith?
I think so, yeah.
You get the point.
But that's a big loss at linebacker, no doubt. And that guy's a beast.
They have they have their inside linebackers coach as of last year is now their defensive coordinator with the Ravens. He seemed to do a pretty good job. I was kind of reading up on him. Good guy, homegrown at Baltimore for the most part. I think he came from a couple other places as a linebackers coach. So I don't expect the Ravens defense to be bad. It's still going to be very good.
Right.
But, Pacheco, I think, to get a touchdown is a pretty good idea. Zay Flowers, like I said, love him to get his yards. Both, and then on a separate bet, I have Derrick Henry and Pacheco's over yards, and Patrick Mahomes under passing, and Lamar Jackson over, I think it's like 175 yards, just to juice the numbers, because I still expect a couple big throws from him in play action. I just don't know full game length what this looks like, because I believe the Super Bowl winner of the previous year is something like 12-2 week one in the last 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Given one of those losses was the Chiefs last year to the Lions, but Travis Kelce did not play in that game.
Oh, right.
But the Ravens have Mark Andrews too.
True.
So lots to think about with that game. I'm very excited. Unlike last year, this game is at Kansas City. Mm-hmm. As per normal, over-under is 46.5 as of us filming this, I believe. I still love the under. It's not what you want to root for. You love to see teams just get touchdown after touchdown, but primetime games under is such a curse that I love it.
And starting with the first game, again, defenses are going to be ahead of offenses,
yes.
more than likely. A shorter preseason, less snaps for vets in the preseason than ever before. It leads you to believe the first game or two are going to be kind of knock the rust off kind of games. So
no doubt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I for one I think the Ravens win this game.
I think there's a real shot they do.
And I just think that revenge factor, the new Derrick Henry thing, I don't know. I just think there's enough there. And the Chiefs, Chiefs know how to value the games that matter and the games that really don't. Ravens will probably be a little bit hungrier for this one.
That's what it feels like to me. And it's Arrowhead. They're going from East Coast to, was that Central? But still, I completely agree. I think this is going to be a little bit more personal for them, whereas the Chiefs know they can kind of get off to a rolling start.
Yeah, I definitely like your under, though.
Yeah, under maybe will be our pick of the week. We still have to make that this week, but we'll go from there. And that's kind of our thoughts on that game.
Yeah. Talking about Friday just a little bit?
Yeah, let's jump over to was that technically Packers at Eagles?
Yeah.
But
yep. So, Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. Kind of surprised by that. Because it's not at Philly.
No.
And I don't know. I mean, Jordan
Love?
Jordan Love, will he pick right up where he left off? I think he probably will.
You would assume with the way that second half, everyone keeps referring to the second half of the Packers season, but it really was day and night from the first 6 games, the last 6.
Not even close, And I think, the Eagles have done a lot to patch up that defense. But we haven't really seen it in a game situation yet.
We haven't. On paper, it looks really good. You would think this is a lockdown.
Yep.
And with them both traveling to Brazil, that over, was that 45.5, 48?
Oh, 48.5?
48.5.
Yeah.
I don't almost hammer that under. But, with the traveling game, it'll be interesting to see these offenses. Who's the most jet lagged? Every team has different ways they like to do it. If they want to get there the day of, if they want to get there 3 days beforehand.
Yep.
It's a fickle thing.
Yeah, we got Jalen Hurts, who needs to really come out and prove himself, and the whole Eagle team after just a abysmal finish to the season.
It feels like you got a couple years left if you're an Eagles player where you don't see this window closing.
Right.
I mean, last year should have been one of those years they started, 10-1?
Yeah.
And didn't make the play?
Exactly.
Lost the first round to the Buccaneers.
That was it.
That was the one.
And it was just terrible.
It was garbage, hot garbage. And Big Dom's back, so no more excuses.
No. And so, really, outside of Green Bay losing to San Francisco, last year in the championship game, which they should have won.
Right.
I think Green Bay is a better team than Philly right now. I really do, and I think Green Bay wins this. I don't know what the odds of the first 2 games being won by the underdog. Well, that's kind of how I feel about it.
And picking underdogs week 1 is not a bad move in the slightest bit. I just don't know what to expect with them both going to Brazil.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Jalen Hurts has traveled as a whole. Nick Sirianni seemed like a bozo last year. LaFleur looked amazing as the year went on. It's one of those things where who knows if these trends keep up or if someone's going to make a difference.
Right.
2 good games, though. And you know what? We got football on a Friday night. I am not going to complain too much about that.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
It's a wonderful
Thursday,
thing.
Friday, college on Saturday, and go back to the pros on Sunday.
Monday.
So, and then Monday, too. So,
beautiful.
Pretty awesome stuff. What do you want to hit next?
Well, looking to the 1 o'clock slate as a whole, the most exciting storyline going to be coming out of Pittsburgh and Atlanta is MacArthur. Is that his name?
I think so, for Atlanta.
No, he's now the offensive coordinator on the Steelers.
Oh.
Coming back to Atlanta.
Okay.
So, he got a lot of shit for not using Bijan much last year, kind of misusing him, stuff of that nature. I believe it'll be, very interesting to see how the offense of the Steelers looked. I mean, was it Matt Canada last year got fired out of town with how badly that offense was rolling? Now the Steelers have Justin Fields and Russell Wilson playing. Russell Wilson's starting.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin claimed that Justin Fields would be included in some packages. Wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be kind of cool. Also, I wanted to see if Atlanta wants to kill MacArthur after last year.
Right.
All interesting things. And I think there was something about Kyle Pitts. Is he maybe having a hamstring injury?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention was, looks like, fantasy owners out there, if you have Kyle Pitts, here we go. Before the week even starts, Kyle Pitts may not be playing. So, there's one to pay attention to before the game, 1 o'clock game. So, I don't know if you want to hit
Arizona, Buffalo. Personally, don't give a shit.
Yeah, let's hit the Tennessee at Chicago real quick, because that's got a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, Tennessee with Brian Callahan coming from Cincinnati, And again, his dad, one of the offensive line gurus of the NFL, Bill Callahan. This team, no one's talking about.
No, not at all.
And Chicago, obviously Caleb Williams, Odunes, all the other talent that they've put around there. They're going to be much better this year. But don't be surprised if Tennessee doesn't win this game, because Tennessee is if Brian Callahan is anything like his dad, and it seems like he is,
and having his dad as a coordinator there,
they're gonna they are going to be a very sound, disciplined team.
I can see it,
and they are going to tackle, they're going to block, and
Will Levis back at it again.
Will Levis back there. They've got a little more weaponry now with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, D-Hop's still there.
Yeah, I don't know if he went to the Cardinals or not. I think he is still there. You're right.
I don't know.
Still there.
You know what? I'll fact check us when we do it, but I think he's still there.
Yep.
They got Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard now, which, I mean, you gave up Derrick Henry, but at least you got
someone,
some speed there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's an interesting matchup, because I think Tennessee's a lot better. No one's talking about them at all.
Well, I mean, think about the shambles that Chicago's going to be in if Chicago doesn't blow out Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's kind of written off Tennessee, me included. But again, they have a family tree of coaches that don't be surprised if they get hot at some point. Maybe not winning games, but as long as they're not losing by 20. It's
playing well and being competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been in need of kind of a flavor change in Tennessee for a while. So I'm excited to kind of flip between that game to see how's it going, because everyone thinks, I think, Caleb Williams is going to come out here and it's going to be like a 41-0 game.
Right.
But, it takes rookie quarterbacks a few weeks typically to get in their rhythm.
It does.
Offenses as a whole to get in their rhythm. So who knows? This could be a little closer than we think, and we'll go from there.
Exactly. New England had Cincinnati. Not much really to talk about there.
No, Jamar Chase practicing in pads again for the first time today, so that's a good sign of maybe a deal getting close to being done. I would hope he's playing week 1, but boy, does he have fantasy experts wondering.
I would sure think so, huh?
You would hope. I mean, they're favored pretty heavily. They should beat the Patriots, but it's because they're favored that heavily that I'm second-guessing myself a little bit.
Yeah. C.J. Stroud at Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
So Texans at Colts.
That'll be a great game.
Curious to see that one. Last year's, rookie quarterback, if you will.
Yeah.
CJ was rookie last year, right?
Yeah, he was. Both of them were.
And now you got Anthony Richardson kind of having his pseudo rookie season since he was hurt.
His unofficial rookie season for sure.
And he's kind of taken a lot of heat already for not looking good in the preseason.
He has taken it on the shins.
But I don't think it's exactly accurate. And I think once they get into these game scenarios, if they do anything remotely like they did with C.J. Stroud, kind of reducing the number of plays, simplifying things, making the reads simpler, which I think is what they're doing with him.
I agree.
Richardson will do pretty well, and that game could be a high-scoring game, by the way.
Well, it's a divisional game. Again, regardless of everything else, those are two young coaches as well that, it's kind of I can't remember what the scores were last year, but historically divisional games will always be a bit closer and or have more upsets.
True.
I'm excited for that one, and just in general, because we'll see how Jonathan Taylor looks come week 1 after his stunt last year where he was sitting out for a good amount of the season, I remember. And, Houston has all these weapons now. Who knows if they put him to the test, or if, it doesn't happen like that, is going to get loud for Diggs after week 1.
Right. Yeah.
Something to think about. I could be dead wrong. I just enjoy thinking about the what-ifs of both sides.
Yeah. Jacksonville at Miami, how do you like those quarterbacks?
Not at all.
Trevor Lawrence at
one fucked me in the playoffs, and one I just don't enjoy. So, frankly, if I don't see a highlight from that game, I'll be happy.
Next.
But it should be good for fantasy.
Oh, yeah. The interesting one to me is New Orleans, and just to see Carolina, too. How does he get started there as a quarterback?
Bryce Young?
Yep. And then how does Derek Carr do with the Saints?
Yeah, out of the gate, you have to assume he's going to come out firing. But both of these teams, well, Carolina in particular, has added a lot to their team. After last year, you could only assume it has to be up. But, another divisional game, I have no idea what that looks like.
Right.
It feels like you'd love the under, but for that reason, it could be like a 45-38 game.
Right.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Any point in hitting that next game? Minnesota, New York Giants?
Not particularly.
All right, let's come back to our two.
Yeah.
So let's do Denver at Seattle. Really interested to see Bo Nix.
Yes, Bo Nix is one I keep wanting to see after all the praise he got again in the preseason.
Yeah.
I by no means am hoping ill on that guy, but I don't have much of a team around you at the moment. It's definitely a rebuild year, but it's Sean Payton, and this is his guy now. I really have no idea.
Yep. And so the Pete Carroll, the post Pete Carroll era begins in Seattle.
Yeah.
Curious to see what that looks like.
Frankly, just looking at the spread now that I see it, the Seattle -6, I really like Broncos +6. You're going somewhere else. It's not in division. I really, new coaching staff in Seattle. Yes, you have Geno, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Njigba. But, new coaching is new coaching.
Right. So gonna be something different, right?
It'll definitely be a good game to watch.
Commanders and Buccaneers. We'll see how that.
It's not
Jaden Daniels' debut.
Yeah, it's not at the Poop Stadium, so seeing Jaden Daniels will be cool. Tampa Bay, as always, you're having people say they should be pretty good. I like Baker. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll have to see.
Rams at the Lions. I would expect the Lions to come out.
So that's Sunday night.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, we're at the Sunday night game. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Loop back around to our two teams real quick. So Vegas at the Chargers. Chargers -3. I kind of find that crazy to some extent. I could see the Chargers and Raiders splitting this year 1-1. The problem is I don't know where each one of those games is going to be a win at. Raiders added to their D-line. Chargers added to their O-line. Chargers have got a wide receiver carousel going on right now.
Yeah.
No one really knows what to expect, who's going to be the second, third on the depth chart in that regard. No one knows if Quentin Johnston's hands will work this year. He's put in a shit ton of work. He had some moments in the preseason that he hasn't previously had. I like him a lot. But you also have now added Ladd McConkey, who, if there's some yards after catch there, I think could easily be wide receiver 1 quickly. Justin Herbert, healthiest he's going to be playing in a while. I know he had the fasciitis foot, in a blender thing going on. But he's been playing hurt his whole career. Broken ribs, broken fingers on both hands. I think there's probably been something else that I've forgotten about. But
he's had a bunch.
That O-line is the best he's had yet with Jim Harbaugh. I don't think he'll be throwing as much. I think he'll be throwing the important throws, not the 45 attempt games, if that makes sense.
I'm with you. I think we're looking at Coach of the Year. That's what I personally think.
I've been trying to find that bet for days.
I think that he's going to bring the right balance to allow them to keep the defense fresh.
Yes.
To keep Justin Herbert healthy.
Yes.
And I think that they're going to run the ball 50% of the time.
I agree.
If not more.
Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins.
They're loaded.
There's a guy named Va something that as this third string that looks pretty good too. It'll be interesting to see how he gets worked in. I personally think you will see a Derwin James revival year. I think that man has gone to sleep for 2 years along with the rest of the defense that had moments last year.
They did.
But with Brandon Staley, didn't respect the game enough to want to try.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
But I think that defense will be the major key part to this season that hasn't been seen yet. I don't know if they make the playoffs, frankly. Chiefs are in that division. Lord knows they'll win the division maybe. But you'll see a much improved Chargers team.
Yeah. I think the Chargers should make the playoffs. And I just think, again, that the coaching, not to be understated, a guy that makes sound decisions,
yes,
does the right thing, plays the percentages, shows the edge now and again when it's appropriate,
yes,
not just for shits and giggles.
Yes.
But I think he just elevates the whole team by how he commands respect.
Completely agree.
So
I think the players will probably already like him more than they ever did Staley. It should be a great game to watch. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to remember. Devontae Adams always has crazy games against the Chargers. If you have Devontae Adams, put him in. We haven't seen Jim Harbaugh yet as defense, but his best games, and we talked about this in the regular season when he made comments about the Chargers, he's had his best games against them. I'm telling you right now, he will get 2 touchdowns, 100 yards.
I still think it comes back to Justin Herbert versus
Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, yep, exactly.
I have locked in, and I will say a flyer for the Chargers to have a pick 6 in that game.
Okay.
For that reason, just as a fun little flyer.
Nice.
But regardless,
all right,
-3. I don't know if I love it. I'd either probably go -2.5 or stay away. Personally, I will definitely be staying away because I've been hurt too many times at this point.
I think it's going to be Chargers by 10.
Here's hoping.
Okay,
on to you.
Cowboys at the Browns. Well, this will be very interesting. And the Browns are favored by 2.5. I have no idea what to expect. The Cowboys right now don't appear to have a real running game. So we're going to see how they committee together something that way. CeeDee Lamb's going to be back. Hasn't been playing. Hasn't been practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't been getting tackled. Not a lot of players have been doing that, so It's going to be rough for everybody. But you're still trying to get back in the flow of things. And defense is ahead of offenses right now. That's got to be an advantage for Myles Garrett.
You would think.
Cowboys on grass, typically not as good. Better on turf, so that's another issue. Cowboys are playing without Deron Bland. So they have the rookie starting, Carson.
Oh, boy.
That will be one to pick on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the Browns, I would be targeting him half your passes.
Yeah.
Flip side, Deshaun Watson. What do we get from Deshaun Watson? Nobody knows.
No one has an idea.
Will he make it through the game?
Maybe.
And I'm not saying because Dallas is going to rough him up, but he just seems to have a problem all the time.
Yes.
And I just don't even know what to think about that.
It's hard to judge because, they added Jerry Jeudy, who's an amazing wide receiver. Did really well in the Broncos for when he was there. Amari Cooper. I can't remember any of the other weapons on the Browns. But
who still probably wants his revenge on Dallas.
Yeah,
so could be interesting there.
Yeah, maybe he'll play with a chip on his shoulder just for that, but who knows? Jerome Ford, probably going to be running back 1 that week.
Yep, Chubb's out.
Chubb's out for a few, I think. We'll hear about it, but I don't know what to think about the game.
We get David Njoku, the tight end.
Yeah.
Could be a difference maker.
Could be.
He has certain games where he's a beast if you're not careful.
Jake Ferguson does too.
He does,
I'm trying to think, did the Browns lose anybody from that defense, really? I think they brought most of them back.
They still have Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
I think they got better. I don't think they got worse.
No, I was trying to give anything to you there, but I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, because again, cap space, the Browns had gobs of it, despite Watson's contract.
Right.
So I don't know. I probably buy this. The Browns winning.
Yeah, they're favored 2.5.
Maybe a field goal, I would think.
Yeah.
So I just think Dallas is going to start slower. I think the Browns come out at home hungry and led by that Myles Garrett defense.
It'll be interesting. I really can't think of anything much more than that.
Yeah.
It'll be a good watch. Good 4:00 game slate.
Yes, sir.
Aside from the Washington at Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we touched on it. The Rams at the Lions.
Yeah, that'll be great. Once again, Stafford coming to Detroit. I don't know how they swung that or scheduled that, but for a Sunday night game, that'll be fun to watch.
They love doing that shit, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. But it's a great storyline.
It is.
No, return of Dan Campbell to the NFL. Where was I going with this?
Go ahead. I'm just gonna say, look at the over/under too for a primetime game.
50.5. Yeah,
that's pretty high.
It is high. No Aaron Donald though.
No Aaron Donald.
Although
they got the rookie that's kind of replacing him. But
yeah,
I know he's no Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. The Rams know who they have this year. They got Kyron Williams and who's that other running back?
Yeah, Corum.
Yes.
Yeah, Blake Corum from Michigan. Keep an eye on that guy.
Yes.
He's gonna hawk carries from Williams quicker than anybody thinks.
I agree. That's why I stayed away from Kyron Williams a little bit of my draft so far.
Blake Corum is built like Emmitt Smith. So he's got that shorter build, but about 210. So he is thick.
Oh boy, hard to tackle.
I just think that guy could be the surprise player of the year.
Okay,
for a rookie.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Detroit's bringing back everyone. They got rid of Josh Reynolds, who dropped I think like 3 passes in the 49ers game.
Yeah,
was not good. But the over/under being 50.5, I could definitely see it. I'll probably end up taking the under. I wouldn't say to do that for the rest of our audience, but that's personally what I'm going to do.
It's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points, and, I'll be damned. Until I see mostly overs in primetime games, I just won't buy it.
Yeah.
But should be a great game. I'd definitely be looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely so.
I don't know if I can think of anything else to say about it.
No, I think that's good. And, before we hit on the Monday night game, right now everybody's making their predictions as far as Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, all those awards, and also who's going to be in the Super Bowl, who's going to win the Super Bowl.
You know, should we do our own?
We could do that.
Let's do it.
Would you like to?
Fuck it.
Before we hit this last game?
Yeah, let me pull up the old FanDuel, and we'll see see what we got.
You want to do Super Bowl is what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Did you want to hit any other?
We can do Super Bowl. We can do kind of some of the other awards if we feel like it.
All right.
And you want to just do this as a channel?
Yeah.
Way? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and give out our picks for the year, and then we'll come back later down the road and see if we missed by a mile or hit spot on.
Yeah.
Start in the AFC?
Perfect.
AFC. Who do we think wins that?
Who wins the AFC?
Yep.
The whole thing.
The AFC?
Yeah. I got to lean Ravens. I really
revenge
do.
year?
Yep.
I can see that. They've got a fucking roster on them. You know, it's like Dolphins, no. Jets, I
don't think that there's enough there.
It doesn't feel like there is. It feels like there's too many other things going on with what's his name? The guy from the Eagles that refuses to come in.
Oh, Reddick?
Yeah, like
Hassan?
Yeah, it feels fucked up.
I agree.
There's something wrong there. AFC West, you know, I feel like the only one of the top teams that could beat the Chiefs then is the Ravens.
Yeah.
AFC North, you know, the only team I think about is the Bengals. If Burrow stays healthy, but that's a big if.
Yep.
So, and Jamar Chase might not play week 1, which isn't a huge deal for the entirety of the season.
Right.
But we'll see.
Could be an issue, yeah. Who else are we missing there?
AFC South. Texans, Titans.
Texans could be they have a run at it last year.
You know, I would say with the Texans and Bengals, there's some ifs.
Yeah.
With the Ravens, feels like they've only gotten better. And there's no ifs there.
Yeah.
Good veteran coach as well.
And what's wild about it is how many coaches went from the Ravens to the Chargers because of the Harbaugh connection.
No doubt.
And I actually think freshening
I think Baltimore needed it.
Puts it over the hump.
I agree.
And the Henry trade.
Yes.
I don't know.
You know what? Let's do it. We'll pick Ravens to win the AFC.
Yep.
And then NFC. We go back to the 49ers.
You know, how many times do you make it, to that point before you just experience a drop? The only thing I'm thinking about, because it's so tough,
to get there.
Pressure to keep getting back, and at some point it gets you. You know, the Packers are the real deal, I think.
Okay.
I'm not saying the Packers over the Niners, but
the 49ers have already been there, twice, 3 times now?
I think it's 3.
Yeah.
And I don't think Philly and Dallas have it this year. Certainly the Lions are going to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, Lions, Packers, Niners.
Yeah, here's the thing. Packers, rookie quarterback, they looked good. It worked. I'm not sure how exactly. They lost Aaron Jones, I feel like, but they got Josh Jacobs.
Right.
I don't hate that one bit. I like Josh Jacobs a lot. I hated playing, the Chargers playing against him on the Raiders. Personally, I would want the Lions.
Yeah.
But it feels too easy. It does feel like this might be another one of those teams that this is like their last year where everyone's bought in.
Yeah.
And going to maybe take a little bit less money to make it work.
Yeah. You mean the Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, I love.
Yeah.
If he learned from his past couple mistakes of maybe some questionable play calling throughout the game, if he learns from that this season, that'd be good. You want to say Lions just to make it interesting?
You do.
I do, but it's only, I think, because I really wanted Ravens-Lions last year.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that, too, as I've written the names down here. I still kind of feel 49ers.
I do, too.
Here's an interesting thing. This is the way the symmetry of things in the NFL works. So, isn't it wild that the first time that John Harbaugh, is it the first time he goes back to the Super Bowl, would be when his brother's back in the league?
Yeah.
And he wins again over the team that his brother coached when he won the prior time. Not against his brother.
No, I like that right out of the gate.
But I just think
Ravens-Niners.
And I think the Chiefs, I don't know. I mean, they're going to be there somewhere, but I just think the Ravens get over the hump.
I could see that. All it takes, Tom Brady didn't win it every year. You know what I mean?
No,
there's always that X-Factor team. And
it feels like they did, right?
Yeah.
And I personally, I'm going to take the Ravens to win the whole thing.
I could see that. I could see John Harbaugh doing that just to spite Jim.
Yeah. Now that the pressure, because those guys have a brotherly competition. That's next level shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, no matter what Jim does, he hasn't won the big one.
No.
So,
yep,
I agree.
And I think John feels a little pressure now that baby brother won the national championship.
Yep, I could see that.
Maybe, huh?
You know what? Let's roll that. Ravens over 49ers Super Bowl.
So,
all right, there's the first pick.
All right,
offensive rookie of the year. Obviously, Caleb Williams is pretty favored out of the gate.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
I don't think so, just because that requires a lot around you.
I think the same.
As a quarterback.
I think there's still some shit we read about.
Yeah.
To sort out there.
Caleb Williams is first. That makes sense. I'll skip Marvin Harrison. Bo Nix, again, as a quarterback, requires a lot around you.
Yeah.
And not nearly even close to the top 3.
And they just don't have it yet.
No. Drake May, same situation.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. There's for a quarterback with not much of a team, it's just tough. Malik Neighbors.
Receiver for the Giants?
Yeah. I don't feel it nearly as much only because Daniel Jones is your quarterback out of the gate.
Yep.
I'm going to need to see you with a 100-yard game from him. I want it to be noted, I'm not doubting Malik Neighbors. It's Daniel Jones and that offense.
I'm with you.
I think Dabble is taking back play calling, which means he has a year left before he's fired. That's
good point.
I don't like it.
That's how that works.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
So, up until you said that name, it's Caleb Williams by default.
Yes.
Because none of the rest, I think, have enough to do. The Bears have enough supporting cast now to have him have a good season. Odunze
is looking amazing.
It could even be a 1 and 2.
It could be
for the voting
tag team.
So, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is
that's the X factor I think that could knock off Caleb Williams from the season.
Yep.
Kyler Murray is not a terrible quarterback.
He's going to get the ball out there. They're going to have plenty of offense. Yes,
and
plenty of opportunities.
If you just give Marvin Harrison the ball in the realm, based on everything you saw with him leading up to the draft, with the combine shit that was going on, with his dad, with everything just in general, I think, if anything, Marvin Harrison could help Kyler Murray be a better quarterback.
Totally agree.
And that's a symbiotic relationship. I might not pick Marvin Harrison Jr., but I really like him. I almost want to pick him just cause.
Yeah. Are we saying Caleb Williams?
Yeah. I don't know how you're thinking, but I'm going to say Caleb Williams, but I really think there's a strong possibility Marvin Harrison.
All right. We got our 1A and 1B.
Yep.
I think that's fair.
Yes.
Let's do Coach of the Year and then do the Monday night game.
Let's do that.
All right.
We picked a couple awards.
Yeah.
All right. Coach of the Year. Bias. I'm going Harbaugh.
No doubt about it. The minute he was signed by the Chargers, that was such an excellent pickup by the Chargers.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. When I remember when Michigan signed him against Ohio State back in the day, and it took him years to get that thing going, to get his quarterbacks and all that stuff. I don't know how many years it was, but it was just a matter of time before he figured out how to beat Ohio State.
Right.
And he turned that thing around in a big way.
He turned it quick.
Yeah, and turned it pretty quick. So I feel like Harbaugh's going to do the same thing with the Chargers. He's starting with a quarterback who could be, top of the league caliber kind of guy.
Yes.
And he's got veteran key pieces on defense. They'll find their way.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think it was Stefanski with the Browns was another top potential Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
And the Bears coach was also potential. Is that LaFleur on the Bears?
That is
Eberflus.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
I think it was Eberflus and Stefanski were up there as well.
Yep.
So I can't remember which one of them is the co-favorite with Harbaugh, but regardless, I like Harbaugh.
And there's our Coy pick of the year, Coach of the Year.
Our official
yes.
award has already been won. So
and we knew that one. What? 4 months ago?
It feels like it, but I'm waiting for the Chargers to be the one that derails him and he gets put in a psych ward.
Oh crap.
But regardless.
Yes.
There's our little award segment. Most people do it. We might as well too. We didn't hit everything, but a couple.
Yeah. And next week we could hit the other ones if we want.
True.
So,
yeah.
We got time.
Yeah, we got. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But,
Monday night.
Monday night.
Close out with the Monday night pick.
Jets at San Francisco. That is a cross-country affair. Literally. I don't know if it can get any farther for an NFL game. in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's the Jets that are traveling. San Francisco signed everyone back. There's videos coming out about how happy everyone is they got paid.
Yep.
Trent Williams had his presser saying each party's going to take blood and wave a white flag in the end. Aaron Rodgers is looking to play 6 snaps this season. I like Rodgers. I know you don't as much probably. There's a lot going on off the field with that team.
There is.
They've made Saleh look like a bit of a bozo in the offseason.
They did.
The media. The 49ers only re-signed the weapons. Brock Purdy looks jacked.
Yep. The Jets, fantastic defense.
Yes. It will give trouble.
It will give the 49ers trouble because they are physical.
Yes. Sauce Gardner is a demon.
My gosh. And then, on top of that, on the offense, you got Garrett Wilson, outstanding receiver. You got Hall, running back. If Rodgers can stay clean and upright, he's the guy that could beat the Niners.
For sure.
He's certainly got plenty of, savvy veteran experience to do what he needs to. And again, they got a lot of talent around there if it can just come together.
And he's the type of quarterback all his years in the league that can restructure a play that was called to work.
True.
That's the other thing. I give Saul a shit, but also the defense is good and Aaron Rodgers can call those plays.
Yeah.
And he might be for all we know at this point after, Saul not being able to yell about Zach Wilson in the media these days.
Yeah. And you're right. It's going to be physical as hell.
It is.
The Niners are physical every time you play them. The Jets, especially their defense, is physical.
Should be a good game. Whew. I want it to be a good game. The Jets going cross country, San Francisco's favored 4.5. I really think San Francisco wins this, but also it's I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets won. Yeah. I get that's me not picking really any winner in that game as a whole.
That's Rodgers being really kind of the X factor that he could pull a couple of those things you're talking about. Savvy plays, and the Niners just don't know what hit them, and it's enough to get over the hump if the Jets defense can contain the Niners offense.
Yep, I'm probably going to, just for the home field advantage sake, I'm going to say 49ers win this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Because again, like you said, the distance they're traveling in the Jets
is almost enough in itself.
It's crazy. And we know those coast-to-coast trips don't turn out well.
No.
So,
is that, for that, I'm going to go 49ers.
Think about this. The Jets in the Eastern time zone, it would be 11:15, 11:30
start time
when they're starting the game.
And that'll be ending at 1:15, about 3 hours, give or take.
So, I'd be curious to see a stat of how that impacts teams.
Oh, it hurts.
It has to.
Oh, yes.
Your body is not ready to play until 1 a.m. There's no way in hell.
Yeah. First, but also the Jets defense kept games close last year with touchdowns, literally. I'm going to still lean 49ers, but I would not be surprised if this goes the other way. I think that over-under at 43.5, that could be one. That's a good line. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not making a fucking pick on that game, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see that game either. It's going to be very entertaining.
Great way to end the week one.
Oh, fabulous. And sub-storylines to it and all.
Everything. And we'll recheck all these storylines, and we'll get back to you next week after the first official week of NFL football. We
made it.
That's all I've got.
Excellent.
All right. We will see you all next week for the 44th episode of the Coy Pond. Hope you all have a good week. Win all your bets, win all your fantasy games. And from the two of us, goodbye.